I've been addicted to social media since I was 13. I'm 25 now. Let's talk about it. I'm glad that I got to be part of what was probably the last generation of kids who grew up playing outside. We had TV, and don't get me wrong, I would sit and watch TV for hours, but I had friends who lived in the houses nearby. I live in an apartment complex now, and I couldn't tell you the name of one of my neighbors, and I feel like that's really common nowadays. But back when I was growing up, when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, I knew the names of all my neighbors, and we were all kids of similar ages within, 5 years of each other, and we would go outside and play. And don't even ask me what we did, entertaining ourselves for hours and hours on end and not wanting to come back inside until even when the streetlights came on. But that was so fulfilling and enriching for my childhood brain. But then the internet happened, and I always had an iPod Touch. I feel like I was even a bit behind others who had iPhones. I had the iPod Touch, and I could get all the apps, and I had music obviously and stuff. The only thing I couldn't do was call or text without Wi-Fi. Getting that iPod Touch was kind of the beginning of the end, because now I have had a device glued to me ever since. And this time now it's an iPhone at this age, but it's still the same. It still is such an all-consuming device. I remember I went from playing outside with my friends all the time to them. The boys generally started to want to stay inside and play video games and talk to each other through headsets instead, which is a whole other addiction, one that I can't relate to, but nonetheless. I would want to be on my iPod Touch, and I would want to scroll and scroll and scroll and watch YouTube and just be in the internet more than I wanted to go outside and have real human connection. Looking back at 25, I regret that so much. I wish that I would have spent more time playing outside with my real friends instead of just watching strangers on the internet. And I think what really had an effect on me is that I have social anxiety, and if I could feel like I got social interaction by just laying in my bed alone scrolling, then that was what I was gonna do, because then I didn't have to do anything scary. And that's the thing too, is I wasn't socializing that much. I was watching other people talk, or watching other people talk to each other, scrolling through tweets. That's somebody talking, but they're not talking directly to you, but you nonetheless feel like you're hearing another human's thoughts, and you can judge them in your brain based on what they said, and you can laugh. Like, you can read tweets, read Instagram posts, whatever, and you can laugh, and you can feel like this echo of like as if you're having a conversation with someone, but you're not, and there's no pressure there to respond. And that's another thing too, is that I will get anxious about, what am I going to respond back to this person? What does my face look like? Just trying really hard to seem cool and normal and whatever. And with the internet, I didn't have to do that. I could just witness other people, and they wouldn't have to witness me back, and I wouldn't have to stress about how I was coming across or try to pretend to make small talk or just put on any sort of face. I could just feel as if I had a whole day of social interaction by just watching other people through a screen. But it's fake. It's so fake, because none of these people know me. None of this is that enriching or fulfilling. Like, I'm not consuming educational content. So it just gave me a feeling like I was socializing even though I wasn't, and it gave me like that high, that dopamine, like I'm hitting that slot machine over and over again, getting dopamine, and I might as well have been counting rice. I saw a post the other day, someone decided instead of scrolling on their phone that they were going to count rice because it would have the same amount of productivity. And I was like, oh crap, they're right. Like, nothing is really getting done. The only difference would be if you were consuming educational content or something truly valuable that wasn't refreshing every 4 seconds and then you don't even remember what you just saw. So yeah, that was the beginning of my journey, was the iPod Touch and scrolling through social media. And what really kept me hooked and getting that feeling like I was socializing even though I wasn't, was fandoms. And if you've ever been in a fandom, then you understand the pull and how it feels like you're part of a community. And when you don't know what's going on in that community, you feel FOMO and you just have a shared interest with a bunch of people, and you can just scroll all day through like posts and pictures and videos of your shared interest, and you feel like you're bonding, even though if you're not talking to anyone directly, you're definitely not bonding. There would be drama and there would be like all of these things going on in these online communities, and you felt like you were part of something and you got a sense of community. But the thing is, then when you go and you turn off your phone, that's not there anymore because you were just sitting alone in your room on a screen the whole time. There was no real like community in the fulfilling aspect. Like the fact that I spent since I was 16 years old and now I'm 25, however many years that is, I'm bad at math. I was scrolling instead of doing math. I spent so many years like scrolling through all these things, and I couldn't tell you half of what I saw. Like I could tell you what fandoms I was a part of and maybe some memes and stuff, but like did I get anything actually long lasting out of that? No, it was just a dopamine, hit the button over and over again. It's really affected my life the most when I got out of high school and went to college. And I went to college a few hours away from my hometown where I didn't know anybody, and my small group of high school friends, they were not there. Then it was on me for the first time to make friends from scratch, and I did not thrive. I did not do well. My phone was a complete crutch for me. Because of the fact that I could sit in my dorm room and scroll and feel like I was part of a community and laugh and like feel all of these emotions and be so sucked into this screen that I didn't want to get out of my comfort zone and go try to meet people and have experiences. I mean, I wanted to, but I was terrified. So terrified. I spent my freshman and sophomore year almost like completely just locked myself in my room on screens because I was so scared of everyone around me, and I didn't know how to make friends from scratch. I didn't know, and I was too scared to try to go up to strangers and turn a stranger into a friend. I was like, how do I do that? Instead of making friends like throughout high school and stuff, I had the same friends since I was like a kid, basically. Like I didn't feel the need to branch out because I had my set 4 or 5 friends and I had my damn phone. And I had online friends. So I was just lost. I was so at a loss of like how to turn a stranger into a friend. And instead of pushing myself to do that, I would just stay in my room all day and scroll and like feel like that was the only place that I was safe and calm. Because when I would step out of my comfort zone and I would try to talk to somebody, or just being in a common space at my college and seeing people with friend groups and seeing them on social media, even having all of these crazy, fun, exciting college memories, partying, getting drunk, all of these things, like just having seemingly the time of their lives, it was soul crushing for me because I had none of that. I didn't know how to do that, and I didn't spend valuable time from when I was 13 to 17, 18 making friends and exercising that muscle. Instead, I was scrolling away on my phone, engaging in things that were not as healthy for my brain. They were fun, don't get me wrong. I still I love fandoms, and I think that for people, especially people with mental health issues, it can be something that keeps people alive even and keeps them even remotely happy. And so good for you. I just think that there needs to be balance, is what I've learned in my, years of going way on one side and now kind of trying to dig myself out of that side of being fully addicted. And this whole video isn't to say social media is the devil, social media ruined my life. I'm a nuanced person. I believe in nuance, and I know the internet doesn't like nuance, but I'm not here to say I rebuke the internet. I'm not here to say that. I'm just here to explain how addictive these things are and what can happen when you go off the deep end and what can happen when young people are given fully unrestricted access to the internet. Now, granted, thankfully I never had anything too scary happen to me because of it, and I didn't see anything too horrible, but plenty of other kids did, and they were probably changed irreversibly because they were exposed to things that were too mature to them way too soon. But anyways, it severely impacted my ability to relate to people my age, to socialize properly, and to know what to talk about with people. Because if I was spending, if you looked at my screen time from back then, anywhere between probably 8 to 10 to maybe 14 hours a day on the internet, watching like streaming services, watching YouTube, refreshing social media over and over again, like just being all consumed by it. So when you do go to talk to somebody, what are you going to talk about? Because you don't do anything. So I couldn't sit there and talk about my life because I didn't have a life. The best thing would be if they, best case scenario for me would have been if they were in the same fandom as me, and then I could, talk about internet stuff in person and form, a real genuine in-person connection based on that. But that wasn't happening because the people around me were actually living their lives in person. And I was cowering away, and I felt enabled to do that. If I didn't have technology, then I would be so bored alone in my room that I would have to go out and I would have to talk to people. But because I had so much entertainment and was getting so much false dopamine, I could just stay in my room for hours and hours on end. And also, I wasn't getting in trouble for it. They say that college kids, once they get to college, they're like, oh my gosh, freedom, I'm gonna go crazy. My going crazy was never being forced to leave my room. So, I just think that it's something that we as humans, we've never had technology, and we've never had social media, we've never had the internet be such the force that it is. And I really think that a lot of us, it's so normalized to be addicted to doom scrolling and to being on TikTok now, and I'll talk about that as well too, my thing with TikTok. It's so dangerous, and I think a lot of us are waking up to that. I think a lot of us are very fatigued by all of the sheer amount of crap on the internet that it's just exhausting a lot of us. I think that it's becoming more admired to be offline, and I'm glad for that, because I remember a time when the internet was just full of the weird kids. When I first started on the internet, I was one of those, I was in my emo phase and I was in middle school and I was a weird kid, and the internet, YouTube, it was weird and cringe to post on YouTube, and no one had a YouTube, and it was just the weird kids online. And now it's so normal to be online. Now it's full of normies. And when I first started, it was not cool, I don't know, if back then, if you know, I guess. But yeah, now it's just so different, and I think a lot of us are waking up to the fact that we're fatigued by it, that our anxiety is made worse by it. We're comparing ourselves to other people all the time, and it's really, really messing with our psyches. Seeing, for example, for me, I really aspire to travel a lot, but when I see constantly content that is people my age traveling and having the most amazing lives and stuff, at first it starts out as aspirational, and then you keep seeing it over and over again, and you keep seeing people who appear to be in the same position and same age in life as you, appear, keyword, and then you start to feel bad about yourself. And it's what was the point of that? Their parents are funding all that, or they're going into severe credit card debt for that, but you don't see that part. It's all smoke and mirrors. So the internet is so new. I feel like we are just now starting to wake up to the fact that it might be really, really terrible for us. I also have ADHD, and so my attention span has been drastically affected by short form content and scrolling. And I think that it's really important that we, as young as we can, or as soon as we can, take a look in the mirror and really reflect on how social media has impacted us as people, and all the things that we maybe missed out on, or skills that we should have been refining that we weren't because we were on social media. Just think of where your life would be if there wasn't social media. and think about how weird it feels. The fact that like we can't even go one day without being on our phones, like to take your phone and put it in a drawer all day. The fact that that's legitimately difficult is crazy, considering that all the generations before us, that was what they did because they didn't have phones. And because we have it, we can't even think about putting it away. It's just really crazy to think about. And the fact that all these careers, social media careers, just simply didn't exist, and now they do, and now people are making 6 figures for one post on this whole internet thing that didn't even exist 30 years ago. Like, it's just nuts. It's just nuts to think about how far we have come in such a short amount of time. And the studies that are going to come out in the next 20 years about what social media does to our brains, because we'll have actually had the time to study that, is going to be insane. Like, I feel like the sooner you can realize that if you have a problem with this in your life, and the sooner you can start regulating the amount of time you're spending on social media and just having that self-awareness, the better off you'll be. Before all these studies come out, before it becomes normalized to see how harmful it is. And I sure hope it becomes normalized that social media is addictive and that it's bad for us and whatever. And I don't think we all need to fully quit and fully get off it and erase the internet forever. I certainly don't think that. I think the internet has its place, and it has a lot of benefits for uniting people and for spreading news and just being aware of what's going on in humanity and whatnot. And people who have careers online, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Duh, I'm filming a YouTube video. It's not my career, but obviously if I thought it was all evil and bad, I wouldn't be doing it. I think we need balance, and I think that it's just been crazy seeing how addicted I've been looking back. And now for the past year and a half, I have been trying to kind of undo the addiction and the damage that I've kind of done to my brain. I got TikTok in 2020, I believe. I was a little bit later to the bandwagon, but I eventually did hop on it. And I see why people spend hours upon hours upon hours not forming a coherent thought in their brain, because they're just filling their brain with short form content. And it was so fatiguing to me. Like, I would spend so much time on there. Like, there was so many things that I wanted to do. I wanted to learn a new language. I wanted to make better habits in my life and learn about motivation and discipline. And I would do nothing but scroll. I guarantee that there are so many people, especially my age or younger, who have so many things they want to do in life, and they keep procrastinating them because they feel like they can do nothing but scroll. Because that's always the more tempting option, the easier option to do, than to go like do the hard thing and like do something like that takes real motivation and discipline. We keep putting off like harder things in our lives. Like, it'll be my weekend and I will catch myself just watching TV, watching YouTube for hours and hours and hours. And I love hiking, I love swimming, I love doing all of these things, but it feels like there is such a hurdle to jump to go actually get off of screens and go do that, even though that's something I enjoy doing. It's not like I'm forcing myself to do something I don't want to do. I want to do those things. It just seems so much harder compared to being so entertained just from your couch. Like, being addicted to social media and TV, YouTube, whatever, like just being addicted to screens is the easiest thing. It is so easy, and it makes doing anything else seem harder than it should, which is crazy. I'm sure I'm not the only one who will procrastinate literally getting up to go to the bathroom because I'm like, I just want to finish this video, or, oh, I just want to keep scrolling, I don't even want to get up. Like, it makes us procrastinate basic human functions. Or, oh, I should have eaten 2 hours ago, but here I am still scrolling. It's such a thorough distraction that it literally distracts us from our own human needs. Anyways, so I had TikTok starting in 2020 for a little bit, and I had it, I think I quit it in 2022 or 2023. I can't remember how I really did it. I never did like the screen time thing because I knew that I would just click ignore to the screen limit or the app limit thing. I think I just ended up kind of cold turkey deleting the app because I just knew how much time I was spending on it and how little value it was adding to my life. And it just got so fatiguing hearing other people's opinions all the time. TikTok was getting worse and worse. Twitter, I was very, very addicted to, but when Elon Musk bought it and all of that, and it just, the algorithm started getting more not to my political beliefs, more right-wing, that one was easier to quit because it just started really just being a cesspool of trash. So I was able to quit Twitter. Most of the time throughout my social media, experience with social media, I've been in a fandom. I eventually, like the last fandom that I was in, I didn't end up hopping to another one. And so I didn't have a reason to obsessively be checking for updates on this band or this actors or whatever it was. I didn't feel the need to constantly be checking for updates to be part of the group. So I could actually segue into using social media like people who aren't in fandoms do, and then now segue to using it less than the average person. So if you're in a fandom or any fandoms and that's what keeps you locked in and you're constantly checking because you want to know the most up-to-date thing of what's going on with that fandom that you're in, once you start to lose interest in that, just let it fade out. Just let it fade out and just realize that it's okay. You don't need to know the most up-to-minute information on that thing. And it's really hard to realize that when you're in it. But once you start to lose interest in that thing enough to just be a casual fan, then don't hop into the next obsession. Just take it as your point to be on social media less. I feel like a lot of short form content is black and white thinking because it's supposed to be attention grabbing and just provocative in general so that people keep watching it, whereas I think longer form content can have just more nuance. Yep, I got off Twitter, I got off TikTok. The only social media that I'm still on is Instagram. That is the one that I am really struggling with because I don't want to 100% get off of it. I would like to still have it. It's just a legitimate addiction. I'm struggling to have it in small doses. From the time I was 13 and got it, I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine not feeling the overwhelming compulsion to need to check it every day. I didn't want to miss one story. I didn't want to miss one post. I felt such a compulsion to see everything that everyone that I followed was doing because I didn't want to miss anything. And then I spent my first 1 month cold turkey off of Instagram. And I realized how freeing it was. I didn't feel chained to this app and chained to knowing what everyone that I was following was doing all the time. Mind you, most of the people that I was following were not people that I knew in real life. It was influencers and celebrities and stuff. So I didn't need to desperately keep up with that. It was not meaningful for me to keep up with that and to never miss a post for someone that I've never met, that I'm never going to meet, that I don't actually know who they are in real life. Spending that 1 month off of Instagram completely, I was free. I felt so free. It showed so much progress in me because I felt I was how am I even gonna go one day? How am I even gonna go 1 week? And then I went a month and I realized, oh, this isn't actually that groundbreakingly hard. My life actually didn't change once I did this. I actually didn't miss insane breaking news. It was fine. And since then, I've only spent 1 more month off of Instagram, and that was much harder for me. I'm just really struggling to find a balance. I want to engage with social media thoughtfully. I curate who I follow so that I'm only seeing people whose content will influence me in the way that I want it to. For example, I would like to spend less money on frivolous things. So if I was following a bunch of people who are trying to sell me things 24/7, I know that I'm pretty easily influenced. So I want to use social media to shape who I want to be. I follow people who are on their health journey, on their fitness journey, people who are more minimalist, or just people whose philosophies I agree with and who I want to be like, but not to a point where I'm comparing myself toxically. I'm not following the dude who's no rest days, 75 hard. I'm not doing that. I'm following the fitness girlies who are life is about balance. I'm gonna go to the gym and then I'm gonna go out and get a marg with the girls. You have to follow people who don't make you feel like shit, but who are still aspirational. You have to find that balance. You just have to find people who are more realistic, I guess. So yeah, that would be my tip if you're going to be on social media, is curate your feed so that it influences you in the way that you want it to influence you. If you're following people that you don't like people who are literally your op, or who you just, every time you see their post, you just want to talk shit about them, or you're just trying to keep tabs on them because you're judging them, get it out of the way. Like, stop making yourself, stop turning yourself into a mean person internally. You may be seeing their posts and rolling your eyes. Like, don't hate follow people, basically. Like, you may be seeing their posts and rolling your eyes, and that is actively making your day worse. And even if you're like, oh, I'm following them so I can laugh at them, you're actively making yourself a meaner person, whether you're speaking that aloud or not. So just don't even. It's not worth it. Now I'm working on finding methods that make me able to still be on social media, but within a realistic time frame and in a way that will not be detrimental to my day. Recently, the two things that I'm trying out are, I tried a 10-minute time limit on Instagram so that I would know that I'm only spending 10 minutes a day on Instagram. I'm checking the people that I'm following, what they're doing. Maybe I'm watching a little bit of motivational content to help me get to the gym before work tomorrow and make it seem aspirational. Then I was gonna log off, but then I noticed that I was scrolling desperately super fast through my feed, and I was the time limit was giving me anxiety because I wanted to see everything I wanted to see before that 10 minutes was up. And so if somebody that I posted a video that was 5 minutes long or whatever, then I would be like, I either can't watch this because it's gonna take up all my time, or I can watch this one video and then I'm done and I can't even finish looking through stories or whatever. So I want to spend time thoughtfully on it. So right now, the strategy that I'm implementing is only checking social media once per day. No matter how long that is, from the time that I click on, if I exit the app, then I'm done for the day. So I will be clicking on, I will be scrolling through my feed, catching up, checking stories, seeing what everybody's up to, and then closing the app. And Instagram Reels has been the only problem with this. Is I quit TikTok, but then I started going on Instagram Reels, which is decaf TikTok, or just the same thing. And that's when you have the video on your screen. Sometimes the app will even cover up the time, and you can't even see the time on the top of your phone because they want you to forget what time it is. They don't want you to realize you've been scrolling for 3 hours. They want you to scroll for that 4th hour. I'm working on engaging thoughtfully. If I'm going to engage for more than 10 minutes, I still left the 10-minute limit on there just so that I am aware of how much time is passing. But yeah, that's right now what's happening. And I still allow myself to go on YouTube as well too, because there is people that I follow whose content is aspirational and motivational to me and has helped me work out more, eat better, learn how to cook, etc. You have to find the good parts of the internet that are going to enhance your life and leave out all the rest. And my tolerance for the internet has been changing too. Since I'm only on Instagram and I'm only on for maybe 20 minutes at most per day, as soon as something pops up in my feed that is rage bait, I just have no tolerance for it. I saw a video of a girl saying, "What does it mean when my boyfriend does this?" And then the first comment is, "Break up with him, he's a piece of shit." And then I was like, that's enough internet for the day. That's enough internet for the day. It's a lot of black and white thinking, but it's also a lot more negativity, because negativity sells. And when you're consuming a bunch of negativity because that's what the algorithm is feeding you, your brain just becomes more negative. You assume the worst about people. It's so much more interesting for somebody to find somebody who's talking about their relationship online and go, "Oh my gosh, she's in a toxic relationship. She needs saved. I can relate to her. I'm projecting onto her because I can relate." That's so much more interesting than seeing a legitimately happy, healthy couple with no problems. But even then, it goes to a far extreme of they're so aspirational. If I'm not them and they never argue, then I shouldn't be in a relationship. It's just so extreme. It's so much. I will just see the smallest thing now and go, that's enough internet for the day. Meanwhile, I just can't even imagine what it's like to keep scrolling and keep seeing comments and videos that just make you angry. I understand why a lot of people are losing faith in humanity more and more, because it just seems like there's so much negativity, and the algorithm loves to feed it to people because it's going to keep people engaged for longer. Anyways, I've rambled long enough. Thank you for listening to my chat about the internet. I am just trying to undo all the damage that young me did to my brain. I'm forgiving myself for that because I didn't know any better. I was super young and my parents didn't know any better either. So having all of that internet access, the internet time, no one could have known how bad it would be for my brain, for a lot of other people's brains. And now it's our job to undo it and to live our lives outside of what we see on the internet. It's easy to just live vicariously through other people and to feel like you're doing things. But when you actually sit back and take stock of what have I done in the past week, and if all it is go to work and stare at screens, and you know that you could have done something else, you know that there are things that you would have enjoyed more, then it's just time to make a change, and I think your future self will thank you for it. I think it is much harder to change a habit the older you get. So if you're 25 and younger, you have a great chance of changing that habit even easier than being 25 and older. But even still, it is so much better to start the good habit of not being chronically online and addicted to the internet at 27 than it is 57. Like, save your brain all of the hassle of just destroying it for more and more years. It's not worth it. You deserve better. You deserve to live your life and your memory and have your memories be meaningful than to just be able to sit there and say, this is what my favorite influencer did all year, and list that off, versus having all of your own memories of what you did and saying, this is what I did this year. Like, think about that. Think about wanting to create memories that are your own and not just watching other people live their lives. Because that's not a way to live your life. You have a life. You don't have to just watch other people live it. Just go easy on me in the comments. I'm speaking very generally here, and I'm speaking from my experience. I'm not trying to leave anybody out, and I'm not trying to say the internet is all horrible. I am just sharing my experience, and if you want to join me on this journey of having less internet in your life, making your future self proud, making your life easier for your future self, then welcome. And let's do this together. Thank you guys. Bye.